What is going on, people, and welcome back to Season 3 of my F1 2016 career mode here at the Australian Grand Prix. If you've missed Season 1 and, of course, Season 2 as well, then there's a little card annotation in the top right-hand corner of your screens for you guys to go check out on everything that's happened over this career mode so far. But just to sort of shortlist it for you guys, if you can't really be bothered to go check out 42 episodes of a series. We started off in Renault. We had a fantastic first season with them. I think we got like 6th in the standings. A really, really good season. And then we pretty much fully upgraded, well, half upgraded our car. Then into Season 2, we completely, well, nearly completely upgraded our car. We didn't quite manage to completely upgrade it, but we're not too upset about that. We did, though, manage to win the Drivers' and the Constructors' World Championship in that season as well. So definitely worth going to check out a few of those videos. But we are here at the Australian Grand Prix, starting my first season with Sahara Force India. So let's head into the menus and see what Force India have in store for us. So here we are with a little welcome message from Force India. It's a new year, and with it come new opportunities. Everyone on the team wishes you well and is looking forward to helping you deliver a successful and exciting season. Following on from your performance last year, we are expecting you to finish in 9th place or higher in the drivers' standings. On behalf of everyone at the team, we wish you good luck. From Sahara Force India. So they want us to get 9th in the standings, which I do believe is achievable. We are the current world champion. So yeah, I do believe that is achievable. But, and there's a big but, this is the first season we are completely running with Ultimate AI. We changed it up last time at the Italian Grand Prix in Season 2. So this is the first time I'm doing a whole season on Ultimate difficulty. So some of the races up to the Italian Grand Prix, I do not know how well I'm going to do in those races. But 9th position in the standings is the goal, and hopefully we will definitely be able to achieve that. Following on from last season, Kimi Räikkönen is still our rival. He's actually beating us 3-1 in the rivalries against him. And looking at the research and development that Force India have done so far, it's not too bad. They've completely upgraded the drag, which means that we are very, very quick in a straight line. We just need to upgrade the engine power to completely max out our straight line speed. Fuel efficiency, we're not really going to focus on that too much. We're going to focus more maybe on the chassis weight and the downforce. I felt in a couple of practice sessions that I did with this car, which we'll get onto in a minute, I did feel the back end was a lot more slippery compared to how we felt in the Renault. So I think we're going to upgrade more downforce and chassis weight, but to get that engine power in these first couple of races will be very, very vital indeed. So when we get the resource points, we need to sort of decide whether we want to go for more straight line speed or go for the chassis weight and downforce. So we're just going to have to wait and see later on in the season, and when we get more resource points, what happens with that. Because at the moment we only have 0 resource points, which is really, really frustrating after getting like 2,000 with Renault at the end of the season, to go back down to 0 and have absolutely nothing to spend right now. But we are determined to make Force India one of the best teams in Formula 1, and we have to start somewhere, and that is at this Australian Grand Prix. And to get resource points, we need to do practice sessions. So here we are in the first practice session of the Australian Grand Prix, and we went out on track. We did the track acclimatization, and pretty much like last season, this was pretty easy. We managed to get a purple score in the track acclimatization, and it was 515 points at the end of the day. So really, really good result for us, and lots of resource points to start off our season with. Then we went out and did the tyre wear management, and as you can see on our screens, we're currently running 75 points, which is the green score, but we managed to finish in the purple, which means we can get 90 points and another purple score. So once again, a lot of resource points, but unfortunately we could not get the qualifying pace, so that was a little bit unfortunate, and we could not get the resource points for that objective. But nevertheless, we have managed to get a lot of resource points today, and hopefully we can get even more in the qualifying and the race. But 22nd on the grid at the moment, that's not the best, but hopefully we can improve on that position as we head into the qualifying session. It's time for my first ever qualifying session in the Force India team. Qualifying at the end of last season was not exactly a strong point of mine. I kept on messing them up. I kept on getting knocked out in Q1, and hopefully that does not happen here today. So we're in a new car. We're not too sure whereabouts we're going to achieve in this qualifying session. The qualifying objective in practice wasn't exactly very good data because we didn't manage to achieve that. But I do reckon that we can get into Q2, but it's just about where we will position in that qualifying session. I don't think we're going to get into Q3. I think that's going to come on later in the season. But in terms of qualifying, I do think that we can get into Q2. So let's head on track, get through Q1, and see what we can do in Q2. So here we are out on track for my first lap in this qualifying session. Well, my second lap in this qualifying session, as you can see in the top right-hand corner of your screens. The first lap was not a good one. It's a 138.3, and here we are on the second lap, coming across the line. It's a 127 0.173, 11 seconds quicker than our previous best lap time, but it's still not the best. It's only better than Valtteri Bottas, and now on our third lap, and I think this is our final lap in this qualifying session, we're down in 22nd position, but we are 1.5 seconds quicker as we come down towards the line. What is the time good enough for? It's 13th position on the grid so far, and I think that is going to be good enough for Q1. I think it's going to be good enough to get us into Q2. A good lap there of a 1:25.4. So is that enough to get us into Q2? Yes, it is. Yes, 13th position on the grid. A very, very good result there in Q1 into Q2, and hopefully we can do the same sort of performance to get maybe about 13th position or 11th, which is what the team wants us to do. But we decided to go out on the soft tyres as to set a sort of banker lap at the beginning of the session, because we did not want to wear out our super softs as we've already used them once in Q1. So we didn't want to really wear them out too much. So we've decided to go out on the soft tyres. We set a 1:26.2 there on our first lap, which is good enough for 12th position right to the back of the field so far. And then we go out for a second lap on the soft tyres, coming down towards the line. It's 2 tenths of a second faster, but it's still only good enough for 13th position on the grid and not being able to break into the 1:25. So that means we are going to have to go out on the super soft tyres at the end of the session, but only for one lap because they are already really worn after Q1. So coming through the final corner once again, down towards line, DRS activated. What's the time going to be good? It's only good enough for 2 tenths quicker than our previous best. And I think it's only good enough for 15th position on the grid, which it is. Another disappointing qualifying session. We did manage to get into Q2 though, and it's not too bad seeing as we're in a new car, which is not as good as the Renault that we were in last season. But still, we would have liked to have done a lot better than 15th position on the grid, seeing as Nico Hulkenberg got in 12th. But both Force Indias out of Q2, so we're not exactly too upset by that, because Q2 is sort of where we are aiming to be in. But hopefully we can do a lot better than that in the race, like we usually do, to make a couple of positions in the first couple of laps, and see if we can work through the strategy and try and make sure that we get ourselves track position and just get ourselves in track position and just sort of go on from there and see if we can maybe get into a good points position. But without any further ado, let's head over to the race for the Australian Grand Prix. It's race day here at the Australian Grand Prix, starting in a very disappointing 15th position. Oh, well, I say very disappointing. It's not actually too bad. 15th place is not too bad. We're only 3 positions behind Nico Hulkenberg on the grid. Looking at the race strategy for today, starting on the soft tyres at the moment, then pitting for the mediums. But I think I'm going to change this up just a little bit. Go for the super softs at the start and then go to the mediums at the end, because I think I'm going to be very good on tyre wear. Super softs will allow me to make as many overtakes as I possibly can at the beginning of the race, and also allow me to do a one-stop. And if a safety car or something comes out at the beginning, then that's really going to help us out in terms of tyre wear. So I think the super soft and the mediums is probably the best strategy to go for, and that is the one I actually do end up picking at the end of the day. So here we are on the formation lap, starting very, very far back, but we're not exactly, you know, we are used to be starting back here after a terrible end to the season in terms of qualifying in Season 2. But getting away, we've got Felipe Massa ahead of us in 14th, Jenson Button behind us in 16th as we head to the starting grid. And we're on the starting grid now. The lights coming on. It's 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's a great start compared to the Williams of Felipe Massa going down in towards turn 1. Can we pick a gap in between these guys? We break a little bit too early going down in towards turn 1. That allows Felipe Massa and Fernando Alonso to get back past us. We're only down into 16th place, so we've only lost 1 position in terms of our starting place, and now going down in towards turn 2. We should be able to get up the inside of Felipe Massa, side by side with Fernando Alonso as well, who is going to be around the inside of turn 4. But it looks like we're going to get the job done. No, it's like still side by side with the McLaren driver, but it gives us room. There's a little bit of tyre banging actually between the two of us through turn 5, but in the end of the day, I do manage to get past him. Esteban Gutierrez and Roman Grosjean are ahead of me, currently in 13th and 12th. So we'll be looking to get past both of these guys within the next couple of corners. We go up the inside in towards this right-hander, side by side with Roman Grosjean. He gives me the room, still side by side through this long left-hander down towards the chicane. Who's going to come out on top between me and Roman Grosjean? Is going to be side by side through the chicane? I don't think so. Looks like we've got much better straight line speed compared to Roman Grosjean. There we are, up into P12, and this is a great start to the Australian Grand Prix. We're on board with Lewis Hamilton, who's currently leading the race on lap 3. So what's going on here? It's the yellow flag out at the moment. Not too sure what's going on with Lewis Hamilton's car. He's got a rear right puncher. Lewis Hamilton, the leader of the Australian Grand Prix on the 3rd lap, has got a rear right puncher. That is disaster for the Mercedes driver. But good news for us, though, it is going to hold up the rest of the pack, and they are going to take a while to get past him. Nico Rosberg might have a chance to get past him down this short little straight, which he does. He actually goes into the back of his teammate. There we are, catching up to the back of these guys. Yellow flag is out, so we can't really overtake. But Esteban Gutierrez sneaks up the inside just when the flag goes green. Then he gets taken out by Nico Hulkenberg. Then for some reason, we get an illegal overtake on Esteban Gutierrez, even though, you know, we didn't have a chance. There's a huge crash ahead of us. What on earth has gone on there? A massive crash down that long straight. Nico Hulkenberg is out, Lewis Hamilton is out, and I think Max Verstappen is also out of this Australian Grand Prix. We're definitely going to have to look at replays of what has gone on there. Was not concentrating. All of a sudden, there was a massive crash ahead of me. Luckily, we did manage to get through there without any collisions, but it looks like there was a little tap from the Red Bull of Max Verstappen, and Lewis Hamilton gets put into the wall after, his punch. He did come back onto the racing line, so it was kind of his own fault. But he's on board with Max Verstappen. There you go, Lewis Hamilton coming back onto the racing line. Max Verstappen smashed out straight away at the first sight of impact. And here is on board with Nico Hulkenberg, getting squeezed between a Toro Rosso and a Haas, going through these next couple of corners. Everyone else is stuck behind Lewis Hamilton. Then there's contact probably around, and now Nico Hulkenberg just can't find a way through. Really, really unlucky through that corner, as there was just nowhere for him to go. Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes just flew straight in front of him, and unfortunately that is my teammate out of today's race. However, though, it does mean that we will beat him in the teammate battle for this race. So there is always, there's always a silver lining to every cloud. But here we are on the safety car restart. Jumped up into 2nd place after a lot of guys came into pits during the safety car window. And we are green once again. Race is underway as we lose the back end all over the place through the final corner as we start lap 7 here, right behind Kimi Raikkonen, going down in towards turn 1, following very, very closely to the Ferrari driver. Can we take the lead of the race in our first ever race for Force India? We're just going to have to wait and see, but unfortunately we've just dropped off a little bit too far to the back of Kimi Raikkonen's Ferrari, and unfortunately I do not think that I'm going to be able to get the overtake on him just of yet. But if you look at the podium, Kimi Raikkonen first, myself in 2nd, Roman Grosjean in 3rd. That was the exact podium of last season's Australian Grand Prix. So is that omen that we are going to get a podium here today? Not for now, because Kimi Raikkonen has just come into the pits. That means we are in the lead of this Australian Grand Prix. What a start to the race, and what a start to the season this is for Force India. On lap 8 at the moment, on board with the Sauber of Marcus Ericsson. He's getting overtaken by, it looks like, Sebastian Vettel going into this right-hander, and a Toro Rosso, and he's actually going sideways across the track. There's another bit of contact all over the place. The Sauber's across the track. A Haas goes into the back of him. There is so much carnage in this Australian Grand Prix. So much stuff has happened. I think Esteban Gutierrez is out of the race. Of Ferrari then collects Felipe Nasr. But here's a replay on board of Marcus Ericsson. So what on earth happened here? He just got squeezed by the Toro Rosso. There was a little bit of contact from the rear. I'm not too sure who caused that, but he puts his car into a spin. The Haas goes into the side of him. He then drives in front of the Renault. There's Nico Rosberg off the track. There's cars actually everywhere, all over the track. This is such a crazy start to what could be a crazy season. We do not know what it has in store for us. Nico Rosberg just gets held up by the Sauber, then gets hit in the back, I believe, by Esteban Gutierrez. And unfortunately for him, I believe he actually has a puncher going through the next couple of corners. And Felipe Nasr having to get through. He's having to wait for the Haas, and he's having to wait for Kimi Raikkonen as well to also get through. And there is Nico Rosberg finally getting away. I think now right at the back of the field, and there is confirmation on his rear right. He actually has a puncher, just like his teammate did earlier on in the race. So this race is not going well for the Mercedes team, and there's the Haas of Esteban Gutierrez just going straight into the back of Nico Rosberg. It's kind of his own fault. He should have slowed down, and he shouldn't have gone into the back of him. But here we are on board with Fernando Alonso, live again once again here on lap 9. So Fernando Alonso goes round the outside in towards this left-hander, this right-hander, sorry. And looks like Fernando Alonso is going side by side with myself at the moment, round the outside. And that is a really good move from Fernando Alonso to go round the outside there on soft tyres. He isn't exactly on the better tyres, but he does have more grip than us. So I suppose he does have that against us. But we have got DRS against Fernando Alonso. But I'm not too sure whether it is enough to get back at Fernando Alonso down in towards turn 1. So we may have to wait until turn 3 to get the overtake on Fernando Alonso, using all the curb available to us, but losing a little bit of the back end through turn 2 there, following in the slipstream of Fernando Alonso, going down in towards turn 3, under braking, and unfortunately it's just not enough to get the overtake for the time being. But we are going to be patient. Here we are later on lap 10, right behind Fernando Alonso once again. Have a look up the inside into the chicane, and a great move up the inside on Fernando Alonso to retake the lead of the race. And there we go, a great move up into the lead of the race, and hopefully we can hold on to it until we come into the pits. As we're just going through the next couple of corners now, we've still got Fernando Alonso right behind us. Kevin Magnussen, the guy who replaced me at Renault, is also behind me as well. So it looks like Felipe Massa and Jenson Button are holding up the track. They're not exactly going too quickly through the final couple of corners. It looks like Sebastian Vettel is very, very eager to get past both of these drivers. He has two Toro Rossos right behind him. Can Sebastian Vettel get through down the start-finish straight? He does. No, he collects the Toro Rosso. I'm not too sure which one that was, but there is huge contact down the start-finish straight. The Toro Rosso is still going in this race. He's not out of the race, but the disaster for Danny Kvyat as Carlos Sainz is still going through turn 2 now. So Danny Kvyat has had a massive shunt from the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel. Not too sure what on earth is going on between Jenson Button and Felipe Massa, whether they were having a little chat with each other between their cars going through the final couple of corners. But here we have a replay on board with Danny Kvyat going down the start-finish straight now. So just watch the Ferrari in front of me. Moves over to the right, gets caught up behind Jenson Button, flicks it back over to the left, into the path of Danny Kvyat, puts him straight into the wall, and unfortunately for Danny Kvyat, he has a little bit of front wing damage, which is definitely going to affect him in this race. We are cutting back to our own race now as we come into the pits on lap 11. It's definitely time to come into the pits. We definitely will be able to make these mediums last till the end of the race though, but that safety car really helped us in terms of tyre wear, because it allowed us to take these tyres so much later into the race than we thought that we were going to do. I reckon if it wasn't for the safety car, I probably would have only got these tyres to maybe about lap 9. So safety car, you did me a lot of help there. But here we are coming out of the pits, currently on lap 12. And whereabouts are we going to come out of the pit lane? Looks like we're going to come out just ahead of a manner of Pascal Wehrlein. Who's going to come out on top here? It's very, very close between the two of us, but we just about get out in front of Pascal Wehrlein in towards that corner, and hopefully that was for a decent position as well, and it was. It's for P8 at the moment, so the Manners are doing a really, really good job in this race. Pascal Wehrlein just behind me in 9th. I think Rio Haryanto isn't too far behind in probably like 12th or 13th positions. We're on board with Valtteri Bottas, and the action does not stop there. Valtteri Bottas is out of this Australian Grand Prix on the 14th lap of the race. Disaster for the Williams team. They will not be picking up any points here today, and virtual safety car has been deployed. This is going to neutralise the whole field, and unfortunately that does mean that we won't be able to catch up to Fernando Alonso at the moment, but I don't think we're going to get Fernando Alonso in this race. He's just come out ahead of us. He was behind us before the pit stop phase, but unfortunately he's done a very, very good overcut, and that means he is out in P5 or 6 in this race, or P4. No, P4 in this race, as we are up into P5, and also Kevin Magnussen has got the overcut on us as well. So a little bit disappointed. We're coming back to the action on board with Daniel Ricciardo going around the outside into the chicane, side by side between the two of us. Action absolutely everywhere in this race right now. Lap 19, and looks like Daniel Ricciardo gets very, very close to the wall there, going through the corner, is up into P4 for the time being. Can we get the position back from Daniel Ricciardo? Looks like we have done for the time being, going into this right-hander. And there we go, we sealed the deal, back up into P4 ahead of Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull. But coming through the penultimate and then the final corner now to end lap 19 and start lap 20. Looks like the manner of, I think, Rio Haryanto has just come into the pits ahead of the Renault. It looks like Daniel Ricciardo going to get the job done in towards turn 1. Can he do it up the inside? Yes, he does, but we break a little bit early coming into the corner, trying to do a little bit of cutback move on Daniel Ricciardo, holding it around the outside. But unfortunately, there is no room to get the overtake done there. We've got Sebastian Vettel all over the back of us as well, up the inside on Daniel Ricciardo, squeeze him out just a little bit. Also a little bit of contact there with the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel, side by side through turn 4 and through turn 5 as well. And we run it wide through turn 5. That allows Sebastian Vettel to have a good run on us down in towards turn 6. And he looks like he's got the job done up the inside. We try a cutback move on him once again, like we did to Daniel Ricciardo, but unfortunately Sebastian Vettel puts his car perfectly in the middle of the track, and that means we cannot get past him just yet. But going up the inside in towards his right-hander, side by side with Seb. He gives us the room, and there we go, back up into P4, and hopefully this time around we can hold on to it. 9 laps left to go in this Australian Grand Prix. We've got Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, and Kevin Magnussen all ahead of us at the moment. So cutting ahead to lap 21. Daniel Ricciardo rides our tail once again. Is he going to have another opportunity to go up the inside in towards turn 1? He's certainly going to try it, following the slipstream, using the DRS up the right-hand side, down in towards turn 1, and for now, he has got the job done, but following it with a cutback move, following in the slipstream of the Red Bull car. He has DRS, but we have the slipstream, so we could have a chance to get the job done up the inside in towards turn 4. In towards turn 3, sorry. Up the inside, Daniel Ricciardo is still side by side as we go into turn 4. Can Daniel Ricciardo do anything? He puts his hand up in frustration, but unfortunately that's not going to help him as we go up the inside into turn 5. And there we go, up into P4 once again. Looks like Carlos Sainz has got past Fernando Alonso out on track, so we're catching up to this group of cars. Felipe Massa, Jenson Button, and Nico Rosberg, who all look like they're having a little bit of a chat. So he's trying to squeeze it around the outside. We do manage to fit through there and go up the inside of Nico Rosberg as well, who should be able to give us the room. Not too sure what has happened to all three of these drivers, whether they've got problems or whether the blue flags are messing up or whether it's just a bit of a glitch with the game. But Sebastian Vettel is getting caught up really, really nicely at the moment. He squeezes through. Daniel Ricciardo goes round the outside. Looks like Jolyon Palmer managed to squeeze through as well. Pascal Wehrlein, though, does not. He goes into the back of, I think that was Jenson Button, but coming through the exit here, going down in towards this corner, he just tags the Mercedes. He tags him again, who's missing a wheel. A Toro Rosso is being caught in the background. There is so much going on in this race. We're definitely going to need a replay to see what happened there. So Pascal Wehrlein goes into the side of the Williams, then taps the wall just a little bit. He's caught up by both the Mercedes and the Williams, has absolutely nowhere to go. Sees a little gap to the right-hand side, goes into the back of Nico Rosberg, who squeezed him against the wall. Not a lot of contact there from on board with Pascal Wehrlein, though. So let's have a look at what happened on board with Nico Rosberg. Going down into this little kink. So where was the contact between the two? So there was just not enough room there. Just a little tap from the rear left tyre of Pascal Wehrlein. And now on board with Danny Kvyat. He has been in the wars today. He's had so much happen to him, and he just gets caught up, has nowhere to go. Maybe should have lifted off in the throttle coming up to so many cars. But Danny Kvyat has been in so many collisions today, and I can't say that any of them have really been his fault. But here we are on lap 27 at the moment. A couple more guys held up by Jenson Button and Felipe Nasr. I think it's Romain Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen, and a Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz, I believe this one is. It could be Danny Kvyat once again. How sad would that be if Danny Kvyat once again gets caught up in another collision? As there's cars going sideways, Felipe Massa has been completely wiped out on lap 27. How his car is still working, I do not know, but somehow it is, and he is able to carry on with this race with no front wing on board. And we're not going to have a replay of what happened there, but I think it was the Toro Rosso of, well, it was either Carlos Sainz or Danny Kvyat. If it was Danny Kvyat, then that boy has been in so many collisions here today. But we're on board with Daniel Ricciardo on lap 29, who tries to go round the outside in towards turn 1. Can he get the move done this time around? No, he can't. Just get squeezed on the outside of turn 1. Unfortunately, has to give up on going for that position for the time being. But here he goes once again around the outside in towards turn 3. And under braking, we just once again managed to squeeze out that opportunity of attack from Daniel Ricciardo and hold on to P4 for the time being. He's going side by side with the Renault. But talking about Renault, Kevin Magnussen, the guy who replaced me in this third season, is going to win the Australian Grand Prix. It's a great result for K-Mag, and it's been a fantastic debut race for him in this Renault car, one that you certainly will not forget. In terms of other debuts, going in towards the last couple of corners, it's been a fantastic debut for myself. In P4 at the moment, even if we get like P6 or something like that, then it will not be a bad result, as Daniel Ricciardo just goes straight into the back of me in towards the chicane. So a bit of a surprise move there, but we have so many cars right behind me at the moment. I think Daniel Ricciardo has a little bit of front wing damage going into this next section of corners. They are literally everywhere. There are so many cars going into these last couple of corners. Surely they can't get through cleanly. No, they can't. A Ferrari's gone sideways. A Renault's gone sideways. And it looks like the Manor of Rio Haryanto has also gone sideways. Nobody is out of the race. Nobody's really lost too much damage. A couple of drivers have lost a couple of positions. But nevertheless, we are going to come round the final corner now, down towards the line for a fantastic 4th position in this Australian Grand Prix. That has got to be one of the most craziest races I have ever been in. So many collisions with the AI. They were just so crazy in this race, but we still managed to come home with a fantastic 4th position in this race. A great debut for Force India, and a great debut for Kevin Magnussen in that Renault, getting the race win. The 2-stopper really worked for him here today. Carlos Sainz, he finished in 2nd, a good result for him, and Fernando Alonso in 3rd. So a bit of a surprise podium. I mean, Toro Rosso and Renault are the best teams in Formula 1 at the moment, but McLaren and Honda certainly are not. So for those guys to get a podium is a really, really decent result. We finished in 4th, a great result for us, and some very nice 12 points coming our way. Sebastian Vettel, he finished in 5th at the end, with Pascal Wehrlein finishing in 6th. 8 points for Manor at the moment. Daniel Ricciardo in 7th. Kimi Räikkönen 8th. Jolyon Palmer 9th. And Rio Haryanto also getting the points. It's a double points finish for Manor in the first race of the season. Rio Haryanto getting 1 point, taking Manor's total up to 9 so far for the season. Looking down the field and looking at our DNFs, there was Nico Rosberg who crashed out. Valtteri Bottas had an engine failure. Esteban Gutierrez went into the back of Nico Rosberg earlier on in the race. And then, of course, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Hülkenberg, Max Verstappen got caught in that massive crash in turn 3. So very, very disappointing for those guys not to finish. But, you know, at the end of the day, they made a very, very entertaining race indeed. So we've got to thank them for that. But let's have a look at how this race affects us in the driver's standings. And it doesn't really affect us too much. I mean, it's pretty much exactly the same. Well, it is exactly the same as the race results. We're currently in 4th, 12 points at the moment, quite a long way off of Kevin Magnussen's total 13 points, but we're not thinking about the championship this year. I mean, we are the current world champion, the reigning world champion. We would like to hold on to that, but we first of all would like to be that 9th position that the team have set us. So hopefully we can do that. I mean, we're doing pretty good at the moment, getting a 4th place at the Australian Grand Prix, but there is still a long way left to go. 20 races left in the season, so hopefully we can hold on to that. Let's have a look at how this affects us in the constructors standings. In the constructors standings, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. Renault currently lead the way, 27 points. So Jolyon Palmer's 2 points and Kevin Magnussen's 25 help them to lead the championship at the moment. Toro Rosso only had one finisher in the points here today after Danny Kvyat was literally just caught up in the wars. He had so many collisions with everybody, and I can't really say any of them were really his fault. You know, he didn't really do too much wrong, just really, really unlucky here today. But Toro Rosso, they have 18 points. McLaren have 15. Ferrari are ahead of us on 14. We are in 5th on 12. So hopefully, if Nico Hülkenberg can finish races, then we can certainly push ourselves up the constructors' standings. Manor are right behind us on in 6th on 9 points. So that's really good. And Red Bull Racing are the only other point scorers in 7th place. That is it though for today's Australian Grand Prix. Let's head back to the menus. So taking a look at the first rivalry update of this season against Kimi Räikkönen, and unfortunately he just beat us on the fastest lap at the end of the day. We were holding them up quite a bit at the end of the race. We weren't exactly too quick around this circuit, so getting the track position early on really, really helped us. So it's 13-5 against Kimi Räikkönen so far in the rivalry update. 387 points is all we have at the moment, so that is not exactly too good. We can't exactly upgrade anything on our cars. We're just going to have to wait to either the Bahrain Grand Prix or the Chinese Grand Prix, so we're just going to have to wait and see for that one. But that is it for today's Australian Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash that like button. Also, subscribe to my channel if you are new around here. We're going to have this career mode coming to you about 3 times a week, maybe more if I can get the episodes done, but certainly 3 times a week, so you can definitely expect to see that. But I will see you next time at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Until then, though, it's goodbye from me.